Hey there, Econ folks. This is Mr. Hooker, and this is supply and demand video number two. So, our determinants of supply are input prices, price of related goods and services, technology, expectations, and number of producers. So, let's go through these really quick. Um, so, if we have um, an increase, it is to the right, decrease to the left. If we have change in input prices, these are the things you use to build stuff. So an increase in the price of an input makes the production more costly. It's going to cost more to make it. Supply goes down. So a fall in the price of an input makes the production less costly. Supply goes up. So what happens to the number of new businesses if the government reduces the fees and red tape associated with new business licenses? So if they reduce that, then the number of new businesses goes up. If they increase those fees, new businesses go down. So if you think about like the tables that are in in the classrooms, most of the classrooms there in West Burlington, or if you're in high school, the desks, most of them are made out of like particle board or plastic, some cheap metal, some screws, and then the labor. So what happens to the supply of tables if the cost of labor goes down? Your supply of tables will go up, or your supply of desks will go up, right? So that's the way that goes. Um, Change in price of related goods. So inputs used in production have opportunity cost. You use inputs whose profit, is the highest. So basically, there's another version of this in demand, but it's not quite the same. Um, Sellers supply less if the profitability falls, and vice versa. There's substitutes and complements in production process. So basically, we're looking at substitutes in production is what we're doing. Substitutes and complements in production, kind of. So complements in pork processing are lard. Substitutes in corn production are cotton. So I can use my land to produce corn, or I could put cotton on it. If the price of cotton goes up, I'll produce less corn, more cotton. So this is a thing for farmers. They're going to plant more of the good they expect to be higher price. That's just what it is. Um, and that's the same with automobile industry. If you look at that, the American automobile industry has gone to producing more SUVs and crossovers than cars. Why? Because they get more profit off of SUVs and crossovers than they did from cars. So they're choosing to do the things that make them more profit. Technology, um, it will always be increasing. There is no decrease to technology. You will always, if technology does something bad, basically you will just end up using what you got and you don't go down. Worst case scenario, you stay where you are. So new, better technology enables producers to spend less on inputs. Um, so supply will go up. So that's the way that works. So you can think of like bad technology, like Windows Vista was terrible, but people just continued to use XP. And so I've been told Windows 7 was really bad too. I didn't use it for very long. Um, so maybe that's why. But you just use the one you have. If it's bad, you use what you got, and then until the new one comes out. Expectations. So for firms, it's basically for price. Expectations of higher price in the future decreases current supply of the good. They're going to basically hold it. This assumes that the good can be stored. The good can't be stored. This kind of goes out the window. But if the good can be stored, they will store it and sell it in the future at what they believe to be the future higher price. If they believe the price is going to go down in the future, they will throw everything they can at you right now. They want to sell it at what they believe to be the current higher price. Okay. So it is all about what you believe to be the higher price, the future price or the current price. All right. Um, so number of producers, this is just simple math. 10 people will sell more than one, 50 will sell more than 10, 1,000 will sell more than 100, 10,000 will sell more than 1,000, 100,000 will sell more than 10,000, and a million will sell more than 100,000. You and I, as consumers, want as many people in the market selling goods as possible. The more sellers we have, we get two things: a higher quality good at a lower price. That's what we want. All right. Individual and market supply curves. The market supply curve is the horizontal sum of the individual supply curve. So always sum on quantity, not price, because price ain't changing. Um, I don't care how many people are buying it, they're buying it at $5. So if you buy it at $5 and I buy it at $5, that's just two people buying it at $5. So now, you bought it at five, that's one. I bought it at five, that's two. Somebody else bought it at five, that's three. So we're just summing how many people bought it at $5. So sum that up across time, across the point at $5, at that price, whatever the price may be. So that is the way we find market supply. Now, demand. Demand is just the ability and willingness to purchase at alternative prices a specific quantity of a good or service, ceteris paribus. So this is a lot like, this looks exactly like the supply definition. It should, it's demand. So for the most part, it looks exactly like it. Let's break this one down. Ability and willingness. So this is consumers, not firms. So ability means you have money. Willingness means you want the good. So you have to have the money for the good and want the good at the same time. So let's go back to our vending machine that we talked about before. I think that would have been that was chapter one. We looked at that, but let's go back to that. So let's say that you want, you're hungry, you want something out of the vending machine, but lo and behold, you don't have $2. You don't have demand. Now, there are other days that you have $2, but you don't want anything out the vending machine. You still don't have demand. You have to have $2 on hand and want something out the vending machine to have demand for something out of that vending machine. If you got the $2 and you want something out of the vending machine, you have demand. So to purchase at alternative prices, this is once again the BS clause. So all we're saying is, will you purchase will you purchase the market price? Um, so we did cars for supply. We'll do it here. You can't say, look, man, I'd buy me a new car if only it were $500. There are no new cars for $500. They just don't exist. Cheapest new car I've ever seen was the Yugo. It was a piece of junk, but it was like $3,990. I think that's it, maybe 95. Um, but that's the way that goes. So we got, so Ford can't sell you a Focus at 100,000. You can't buy a new car for 500. Y'all are gonna have to meet in the middle, and that's the way that's gonna have to work. All right. So ability and willingness to purchase at alternative prices a specific quantity. Specific quantity. If you like one, buy two. If you like two, buy three. If you like three, buy four. If you like 4 by 5, at some point, the law of diminishing marginal utility will kick in. And at that point, you will stop buying. Okay? And then ceteris paribus, all else being equal. All that other stuff don't matter. That's all we're saying. So, demands the buyers. We have a demand schedule. Once again, that's the table with the numbers. We got a demand curve. That's the graph with the pictures. We got quantity demanded. It's basically the movement along the curve shows quantity demanded. So that's 2 points, one curve. Law of demand, Higher price for good leads people to demand smaller quantity. In other words, there's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. So there's our downward sloping demand curve. Once again, still on Uber rides. At $14, quantity of Uber rides demanded is 850 all the way to 1250. There are 1,700 Uber rides demanded. Okay. So here's a real world illustration of the law of demand. Because of higher prices, Europeans buy less gasoline than Americans. Been to Europe a good bit lately. We went last Christmas to Germany and France. Um, Europe has this whole thing, or at least France has a thing where all their cars have to be electric by 2035. So they're trying to get away from gas. Their prices, the last couple of times we've been, they're running somewhere around 350 a liter. 3 liters to the gallon. You do the math. It ain't pretty, ladies and gentlemen. It's crazy. So that's why you see all of them like way up there in the in that top left corner, and then you see Canada and the U.S. over there to the right. Um, so and how much we consume per day. Canadians don't quite consume as much as we do, but their price is a little higher as well. I think they have a little more on tax than we do. Rightward shift of the demand curve means increase. Leftward shift means decrease. We hit that when we did supply. It is the same. So left is a decrease, right is an increase. It is the same. Don't worry about the up and down. As you see here, A to B is a movement. Um, so that's a movement along the curve. If you go from D1 to D2, that is a shift. That means that you have changed the determinants of demand. That movement A to B, that was caused by a change in price only. So a movement is caused by price. A shift is caused by the determinants of demand. My take on the law of demand, people are cheap. It's not a bad thing. It's just that we want to buy more of a good at a low price than any of a good at a high price. You don't walk into a store and go, hey man, where's the most expensive stuff you got? People walk in the store and go, hey man, where's the clearance section? That's how people act. Like that's the way people are, especially nowadays. All right, so 5 factors that shift demand, the 5 determinants of demand. Changes in the prices of related goods and services, changes in income, changes in taste, changes in expectation, and changes in the number of consumers. So some of those you saw when we did supply, some of those you haven't seen. So, it is that kind of way. I'm going to stop right here and then we will get into these when in video 3. All right, here we go.